BSUN has made their own version of a black cherry pie, also known as the BCP. Thank you to Unikeys for sending these out to me to check out. They've got a huge amount of switches to choose from, and a lot of switches are not normally found in Western vendors. They're a great vendor for anyone else who's a switch collector and tends to buy a lot of switches for no apparent reason. But check out their website because they've got a lot of other things aside from switches. If you were in the hobby around 2021, you probably heard of the frankenswitch called the Black Cherry Pie, or the BCP. This was a very popular frankenswitch made from a cherry top, novelkey cream stem, and just about any JWK bottom at the time. There were tons of JWK recolors around, and they all had the same PC nylon palm combination of switch materials. Some might say you're supposed to use a JWK H1 for the bottom, but in my opinion it didn't really matter. The sound profile of the BCP frankenswitch was a deep bottom out with a relatively higher pitch top out. So with the BCP frankenswitch being made out of 3 different switches, the novelkey cream, basically any cherry switch, and basically any JWK nylon bottom, the cost of a BCP frankenswitch came out to like $1.50 each. So are the BSUN BCPs just like the original frankenswitch? Not really. BSUN's BCPs are inspired by the original with all nylon housing and a palm stem, which is basically what the original BCP is made of. However, despite having similar materials, the sound is very different and honestly kind of a letdown. Just based off the name, I thought these would sound more like BCPs, kind of just like how Penyus switches, which were inspired by cream packas and BCPs, sounded pretty close to a BCP in my opinion. That isn't to say that this is a bad switch or a bad sounding switch, just very different from what the name of the switch implies. Here's a quick comparison between the BCPs I made, the Penyus, the BSUN BCPs, but also the strawberry wines, which are pretty similar sounding. So it's actually a very clacky switch, and sounds very similar to the Sorrowkey strawberry wine switches, which are also made by BSUN. Like all the other recent BSUN switches, I personally don't think you need to open these up to loop. These were a lot more consistent than my other BSUN switches, but there were still a few that were noticeably scratchy. I didn't really notice any leaf ticking for the most part in my batch. I would only hear it if I was lightly tapping on the top of the keycap, and I don't know if that really counts since, with regular use or regular typing, the switch is loud enough to cover that ticking sound. The housings were tight, though to be fair I didn't open them up. I also tried filming one with a desk key film and it didn't make a difference in sound either. It's a good switch that's in line with other BSUN switches in terms of quality. Good factory loop switch with a small amount of flea ticking if any, and it's a very clacky and loud sound much like the strawberry wines. Anyways, thanks for watching.